Hello everyone, this is Jurgita with Magic on Crafts and welcome to my StitchMaynia 2020 where all magic in the stitching begins. So what you see in front of you is just a portion of the works that I'm planning to put at least a little bit of the stitching in, and these are just the whips that I've had to keep since previous StitchMaynia that I have not finished, or a couple of them that I have to stitch every month. So there, besides these, there's going to be some new whips, new works that's going to become whips. So let's start all, check it out all in a row, and where it's going to be my starting point. So the first whip that I've started in let's see, when did I start this? It's called Milady Chateau, and this is what I have printed that it's supposed to look like. And I just recently worked on this, and it's by company Dimensions, so it's a whole kit. I've started in May 5th of let's see, 2019. So it's gonna be the second Maynia that well, the third Maynia. It would be 19th, 20th, and 21st. So the third Maynia that I have worked on this, and as of right now, according to a program, I have 85.3% done. And as you can see, there's a lot of it. It's already done. It's pretty much the whole thing that fits, that I put in like loosely in my homemade Q-snaps. So started stitching again from the left corner, and I was going down, and once the area is filled in with the stitches, I was trying to go with all the back stitching and some of the French knots in here. And last time I was concentrating on the castle itself. The fabric was given, was a 14 count Ada that was in ivory color. So you can kind of see, if you know Dimensions kits, they have half stitches with could be between 1, 2, and 3 stitches, sometimes up to 6 even, I believe. So it's really dimensional. They mix a different amount of threads. They do blends. You can see that here is French knots in here. So there's gonna be French knots, the back stitching with 1 or 2 threads usually. And yeah, so there's all kinds of things happening in Dimensions kits. So this is my one of the eldest StitchMaynia whips that I have, and again it's 85.3% done, and I'm hoping to put in at least a little bit in this Maynia, and my goal is to finish this whip by the end of the year. So that would be number 1. So this is a second whip. It's called Stitcher's Alphabet by Brooks. So this is a sample that I saw in all done in one way on one piece of fabric. I'm doing slightly different way, but you can see all of the letters in here. And I'm stitching actually on the 28 count Witchy Lambswool Joe blend, and I'm doing again block by block. I started this on the May 14th of 2018, and it's a free pattern by Brooks. I'll set it aside, and I'm just going slowly at it, and this is what I have right now. I had it put on my Q-snaps. So again, I left like about the 3 full stitches in between each alphabet letters. And in these you can find online, like I said, on the Brooks Books website. There's all kinds of goodies in the freebie sections. But as you can notice, we have beads, we have a Krynic sparkle, and we have all kinds of different techniques, not just the plain stitching. We have like a here of I don't know, was it crochet maybe? So it's all 6 threads were as a one kind of long stitch. So there's some framing just with the beads and stitches, some framing that just like what do you call those running stitches. So all kinds of things. So I've done A, B, C, and here is a little D, E, F, G, and I'm on a letter H. So that's where I'm gonna start in this StitchMaynia. So it's not gonna be done a lot, but I'm hoping maybe I could finish at least that letter. My plans for this year was to finish H and I letters. So that's Brooks Books Stitches alphabet. And here's my third whip for StitchMaynia. It's called Summer Ball by Sandy Littlejohn, or I got the pattern from Russian magazine, and I'm stitching it on 32 count ivory Lugana 2/2. So the whole pattern is 478 wide by 128 high, and as of right now I have 83.4%. What can I say about this? I've started this in May 19th, I believe, 2017. So it's one of the very oldest whips that I have. And I like, because we had in School of Magical Stitches back then, it was called, we had Pride and Prejudice theme, so I thought that was looking like that. She also, the designer also has a similar very long patterns that are from different type of eras. I think it's like from 1920 and something else. So if you're interested, you could find the patterns somewhere there to buy those different ones. But in the beginning they came in a magazine, and I'm doing again on my home Q-snap. The only thing I have slightly different is for me the black color was not enough coverage, so I'm using 3 threads instead of 2, and also I'm using the skin stitching 1/1 instead of like a 2/2. So I'm doing a little bit rearranging of the colors that's supposed to be. So again, this whole section in beginning is done. You can see my back, and it involves some of the back stitching. There's no half stitches except like a quarter stitches and stuff, but it has a back stitch and it has a tiny bit of the French knots. So yeah, so you can see my skin kind of adapting where it goes, so it would be like a smooth change between one color to another. So like a skin in here still have to do, and tiny bit like in here to fill in. So that's stitch wise is gonna add more work for me, but I think it people look more delicate in here. Of course, like you can see this, like it's weird looking without the back stitching, so it's kind of blobs in here, but once you put in back stitching, it really pops everything out. So this is what I have left, and that would be great to finish by the end of the year, but I have over 11,000 stitches left. That's not including like ×4 for the skin. So the whole thing, like you can see, I've done most of the dress for this lady, and this whole section is left. So I know at least the next year it will be done, this whole long thing. And I calculated the fabric specifically for a spot in my, what I call a piano room, and that's why I decided to stitch on that size count of the fabric, because I know where exactly it's going to be and what size it needed to be for me to fit in that spot. So that's my summer ball, and I don't know where I'm gonna start, if I'm gonna do a little bit of skin to finish off, or I'm gonna do more full stitches. It also, all of these works depend on some requirements on homework for magical stitches and other groups, so we'll see how it goes, but this is what it looks like right now. Now the next piece that you see in front of you is by Heaven and Earth Designs. It's called What's This? So it's this lion, like I call sometimes just a lion. And I've started this on a different count, much smaller count fabric, going with half stitches, but since it's a gift for one of my kids, and we talked and then decided to make it much bigger so you can really see on the wall. And I was surprised myself how much I've done this year from beginning of the year. It was just a little bit, I started kind of this time from the middle where the eye, I wanted to see the eye versus first time I started from a corner. And so I kind of went with the eye to the side and tiny bit on the top. That was what was done, and as you can see, all rolled up. As of right now, I have 74.6% of this is already done. So I've used a lot on the different challenges, and this is my one of like 4 whips that I have like on my must stitch every month, certain amount of minimum, because I put them in certain challenges that I have to stitch like at least 2,000 a month. So that's would be one of those things. And I've started this actually during StitchMaynia of let's see, when was it? I have it on a little cheat sheet. In last year, May 22nd of 2020. So it's almost a year old, and if I really wanted to, I could probably, if I stitch over 3,000 stitches a month for the rest of the year, I could finish it all. As you can see, this is the bottom of the whole picture, and just going to be a lot of the lion's mane. And this is on a 16 count, can't remember, off-white or cream Ada, and I'm doing, of course, full stitch with the DMC colors. And there's some where the snowflakes are, there's some of the Krynic 34 use that I'm doing with the one stitch. So just what I usually do is take like a 1500 block and pretty much stitch in that area, but on the bottom it's about 8 blocks down, and I've decided just kind of go with the line, so I would finish up little by little, but I would finish up the whole row like that, including the bottom. So it's very exciting. Like I said, if I wanted, I could finish in by the end of the year, but I'm not sure, because I have, as you will see, a lot of new whips planned. Total for this year, I wanted to start 44 new starts, and I had about 22 or 23 whips from before. But this is fun to stitch, although it's a lot of, looks like a lot of mess, weird colors, and until you fill in the last stitches, only then you see the full picture of that. But I love it, and a lot of other stitchers got influenced and got this pattern to stitch because it really looks beautiful. So you'll see me stitching this every month, so if you enjoyed following the growth of it, you're not gonna miss it if you look at my videos every month. So that would be my number 4 StitchMaynia whip. Now number 5 is totally different. It's not a typical stitching, and it's the kit for a tissue box by Mary Maxim, and as you can see, it's a Dracula. And in beginning, when I pulled out all the threads, on the main picture the sides look totally different color, and I couldn't figure out like where those colors supposed to be. But what it comes in a kit is you get those big sheets of I believe 11 count plastic, and here's what I have like right now. So this is the top part and the side and the side. So all of the stitching is done with the half stitches with this acrylic yarn, and you had to calculate and cut out the shapes out of 2 big sheets, and it's not marked on those sheets. So what's different, if you've never done plastic canvas or something like little ornaments for that, is counting how much you need to cut off is slightly different than the fabric. So I had to really concentrate and count so I wouldn't mess up and be a little bit too short somewhere. But this is what it looks like right now. That's going to be attached Dracula's head, and there's the bad's going to be separate too, and just a little bit and like over the top, and then will be all whip stitch. This is again like a straight stitches in here. So I do that just occasionally, kind of little by little. It's no hurry to do. It's something different that I figured out I can do something fun like that. So that would be my what's that, number 5. Now number 6 is the kit again, and it's called Etude with Strawberries by Luca S. So it's just a bunch of like a strawberries with little thingy bug in there. And I kept the fabric that was given. I can't remember, it was, I think it was a 16 count. But this is what stitching. I have not done any marking or anything. I just kind of calculated where the middle is and started stitching little by little, kind of filling in, going with the same color a little bit and filling in. So I haven't done a lot of that, and it's one of those whips that I don't have to like work intensely to finish off right away. Right now I have about 20.6% of this whip done. So it's, as you can see, it's a long thing. I stitch around the edges all the time to make sure it's not unraveling. I just recently inherited a serger machine from my mother-in-law, so I need to learn how to use that because it did not come with any instructions. So I have to look that up, how to use that specific machine. So that might help out with edging like that. But what I usually do is just do some kind of like a zigzagging, and then sometimes I go through that zigzag with the straight stitches to make sure it's not unraveling. So as you can see, it's just going slowly, and I might go to the left side. So this is actually slightly different picture. I couldn't print out the regular picture, but I have it on my tablet, and let me just pop it open and show you what exactly it is, because I have it on the program. So that's what actually is gonna look like. Sorry for the trying to figure out how to do the light, so it's not gonna go like that. So it's just a bunch of like strawberries in here, and there's always seems like some kind of bug in there. So you can see the snail, I believe, in here. So it's a summary little thingy, and I stitch more through the summary. Depends. Like I said, I use that a lot on different homework. So that's Luca S. Strawberry Etude with strawberries. That would be my number 6 whip. Now number 7 is again something totally different, and it's not actually like a cross stitch piece, but it's more like a canvas work. I just found this pic online to print out. There is a freedom of choosing different colors for this, and it's called Samirami's Gardens. I bought it on Etsy from a Russian designer, Olga Mamayeva, I believe it's her name. If I'll try to put all the names and everything below, but I haven't done much of that. I was constantly concentrating on more cross stitch pieces for that, and what it needs is let's see, 18 count canvas that I got as a suggested, and I started this on May 31st 2018, and I haven't done much of that, but it's gonna be again a needle canvas work, and I can show you what I've done. It was something totally different to try out, and at first I couldn't even remember where the top. That's why I put like a stitching to remember where the top is, and that's the very middle of that. And as you can see, it's a satin thread with to do the satin stitch. So that's all I've done actually. I last few years I kind of had it all sitting away. So it's a very middle, and around that is going to be extra little stitches. So it reminds me of chatelaine designs that I have started one, and I have several other to continue stitch. So it's gonna be dimensional with the specialty stitches. So that's something a little bit smaller than chatelaine to work, and it's gonna be interesting to see how it's turned out. So I'm hoping at least you know, I get to work tiny bit to add to it. Yeah, this canvas is it's not fully plastic. It's like a very stiff I don't know, cotton or synthetic. It looks like a cotton, more fabric. So there's that, and the design is going to be 87 by 87. And the last leftover StitchMaynia piece that I've started before, and it's called Easter Egg Kit by Riolis, and I started on May 31st 2019. The whole kit came in the box with the wooden egg, and it's, as you can see, it's gonna have some beads after the whole thing is stitched, so that's what kind of makes me anxious to finish up the top of the bead. And it's anchor threads, Zweigart fabric, and it's gonna be 2.5 by 2 inches, so it's in several languages for this. And I would stitch that only tiny bit when I'm somewhere, because it has very small stitches. And to remember which is top, which is bottom, I did like a top line to kind of remember. So as you can see, this is very small piece on that wooden egg, and it's 1/1 on this tiny fabric. And they have all kinds of different eggs, like for example there's one that looks like that with the purple colors, and there's quite few different ones that I know from the collection. But as I said, it comes like this little box, and usually Riolis don't name their designs or something, it just says Easter egg. So you have to look it up which one exactly you want. So this was my last of actual StitchMaynia work that I had to move from the previous Maynias to this one that's left. And then there's gonna be now several whips that I have to stitch again, just like my lion, because I wanna put good enough progress in all of these other whips. So one of those must stitch every month whips that I have it put in a challenge, monthly challenges, is by let's see, it was Lithuanian painter composer Čiurlionis, and roughly translation is like a fairy tale of the kings, or as we call it, two kings. And the original painting was a little bit like a taller, but designer Astra just cut off that part because it's just dark things, and we wanted to concentrate on this part. So that's what the whole picture looks like. And the past month in April I finished my second row that I was doing it. So this is what it looks like, and I picked 18 count Zweigart Ada, and I'm doing full stitch 2/1. So as you can see, my printed picture is much more redder colors, and you can see both kings' faces already. And the next is going to be just mostly like their clothes and more of the brightness of the world that they holding in their arms. And there's no back stitching involved, just the pure stitches as a full coverage piece. And as of right now I have 44.8% done for this piece. What's great for Astra's patterns is and majority of Russian speaking designers, they do PDF patterns, and they do for cross stitch saga XSD type of patterns. So it's much easier to stitch than paper one, and the work really flies by with that. And I'm loving it how it's turning out. Of course, where pure black color, it's shining a little bit, but I'm sure once it once I wash this piece, it's gonna shrink and it's gonna be perfect looking. When I was stitching up close, like eye faces, I couldn't figure out the colors, like why is this color there, but when I stood a little bit back, it popped out. It's like, oh okay, so it's like a cheek and it's eye in here, and you can tell that there's a mustache. So it's all done in full stitches. So that's one of the must stitch every month pieces. So another piece that I want to stitch every month, at least 1,000 stitches, and I could barely fit in. I had it unrolled, and this is, again, I asked the designer Astra to do, and because I fell in love with the picture, and it's called Spoiled Child. So this is what it's supposed to look like, and it's again a lot of muddy brownish colors all over, except like where the people is going to be. So again, I started from the top left corner, and this is way bigger piece than my two kings or lion, and even what I'm gonna show you soon, my George, this is a little bit bigger, wider also than those two, those three pieces. So you can see kind of at the top of a corner, like a top of a shelf, and it's just murky wall, and here we come in armoire part in that corner right here. So you can kind of see that the patterns start to come out on the doors and things right here. And I'm almost to the end of the row. So let me move this a little bit off so you can see where my end is gonna be. So my end is gonna be where, like an extra dot, so right here. So this whole area still needs to be stitched. So I'm hoping like a 2 times, small times, and I would be done. So right now I have only 8.25% on this done, and this is 18 count Aida, and I'm doing full stitches, and pattern size is 450 wide by 514 high. So it's quite a bit of a stitching gonna be done. According to program, it's so great to have a program that you can look it up how many stitches total. So in total it's going to be 231,300 stitches on this piece. So you can tell by my hand how big it's going to be. So it's going to be huge, but this is painting by French painter Jean-Baptiste Grouche in France, somewhere around early 1760s. So that's old one. And I started in February 22nd, 2019. So it's just been over a year, and no, not a year, 2 years. So in the beginning I kind of stopped little bit in, and then last year kind of started picking up speed like that. So I want to do at least 1,000 stitches a month for this one to keep moving, because it's going to take me quite a few years to work on this piece. But once I get past all this murkiness, I think the people is going to be really amazing to stitch. I can't wait to see their skin colors pop out and all the other stuff. So that's another one that I have to stitch this month. And here's the last one that I want to stitch, and I need to stitch each month. So it's minimum 1,000, but I'm trying to go for at least a page which is about 2,500 stitches. And it's famous painting George Washington crossing the Delaware River, and it's a big project by 112 of us. And my piece that I'm stitching is just like a piece of corner. So it's about let's see, 396 by 549 height, the piece. So I have this corner kind of thing. So some people got just the murky water, or you know, little piece of the person, but it's a group project. Originally it was meant for 5 years, but a lot of people couldn't stitch fast enough for that, so it extended. I think it's now need to be finished by February 22nd, which is George Washington's birthday of 2026, I believe. And I started on it was given fabric, and all the threads was given, so it's an 18 count Aida. I'll show you, I'll move a camera to do in my hand. And I started February 22nd, 2018. So my goal is to finish by 2022 February for his birthday, to finish the whole thing. And I'll show you now what I have done. So I have it on my big Omanic frames, and this is what it looks like at a piece of sky. This right now is the finishing of the 8th row, so it's going to be another full row like this height, and about the half of the 10th row, and the whole piece is going to be done. So it's, I know it's like, I call it like my blob piece, because it's like a gray and blue colors just mixed in. There's nothing specific happening, but it's supposed to be very easy, but it's very boring. So I just do like a little by little, and I try to take a picture after each page is done, just to have fun for later on when I just look through all of them. But this is what it looks like right now. And just a little bit later, once I finish that 8th row, I'm gonna roll up for the last time and continue with this work. So you can see I'm kind of marking those, but it's a washable pen in here specifically for those fabrics. And I guess there's nothing else for me to tell you. It's just that I wanna continue stitching, and I'm really hoping to finish it by the end of February. So I still have a little time, but there's still quite a bit of the boringness to stitch, and much more interesting whips calling me. So those would be all for the whips that already started during StitchMaynia, and the few that I must stitch also during the month of May. And the next one you guys gonna see are my planned new starts. Out of those 44, I've already done I believe 20 or 20, no, 21 I believe. Most of that were with the dresses that I had I think in the March month. It was totally unexpected, but it was hard to pick what to start in the month of May, and you'll see in a second what I've picked. Well, it's on to my new possible starts. So the first one that you can see is by group or company called Chimera, and they do like a patterns and the kits. So of course, since they're not located in US, and I believe either Russia or Ukraine or Belarus or something, some other countries like that, so I just ordered the pattern and got it right away. And I think you can also get that in PDF and XSD pattern versions. So it's called like a Town Drawings 5 translation. So as you can see, the size is 350 by 235 stitches, and that's a scenery of London. I loved strolling around in London. I was there like for a couple of weeks visiting my brother, and I had fun traveling in here. And also I've read several books that I fell in love with, and they had a scene in London. And this is more like not the sharp lines or anything, but like a watercolored, almost like washed out views, because it's rainy day. You can see umbrellas people are carrying, and it's a little chilly, but the whole scenery is like that. So that was one of my stars that I wanted to start this year. And what else I can tell you about the amount of stitches total gets is 81,900, so it's not a lot. What I picked is I'm gonna be stitching it on 16 count antique white Adam. I have it all already done edges, sewed up edges, so I just need to get on the frame and start stitching. And you can tell by this line that says Vigard. And I have all the threads ready, sorted out, and you'll see that non-hade and I think golden kite also has only full stitches. I don't think they have it mixed up, but this is what I had before marked out. Instead of like a numbers, I had all symbols like put in here, and total is 48 pure colors and 3 only blends, so that's comparatively not a lot. So you can see all of the colors here that is going to be participating. So it's a mix of darker ones like brown ones, and there's bright reds and gold colors, and so it's a mix. It's not going to be as dark as my previous big whips, so this is going to be different paste. And especially in the sky, it's not gonna be that hard to stitch that part, at least. So that's what I'm gonna do by Chimera, and that's gonna be my first possible, hopefully possible start. Second one is another dimensions, because as you know I have quite a good amount of dimensions kits that are waiting for me to be stitched, and I want few more of them that I've been searching for. And this one is, as you can tell, sorry about the lights, flowers, coral peonies. So it's totally different scenery. It's bright, it's a spring, it's a summery, and all of the beautiful colors. And this looks like it's gonna be again with several threads done straight stitches to kind of pop out in here. Design is by Rachel Perry, and the number is 7035-298. Let's see, it has a half stitch, cross stitch for those effects. And yeah, this kit is put together in China because they have this way putting threads, and the American kits had just all mixed up in one pile and tied up with a string. So this is much easier, and all those lines saying how many strings it have. Usually it's around 90 centimeters. What is that? 91 centimeters or 36 inches the length. Some people take one and fold in half. Some people like to take the whole thing. And it's 14 count ivory Ada. It has needle instructions and all other stuff. So it hasn't been opened yet, but it's gonna be totally different view of whips. And you can tell that some parts is gonna be like a background is gonna be in the half stitches. So it's gonna be something bright to work on in the month of May flowers, right? So that's gonna be my another planned whip, future whip. So the next one is, I got it like a whole kit, and by Hands-On Design, Black Parley. She has several of those blocky little basket inserts. If you remember, I've done before with the sea theme that it had a basket in it too, but this is just a block. And this one is called Java because coffee, and coffee maniac. Trying all kinds of different coffees. I don't like when they mixed up so much and put in so much stuff that you can't taste the coffee. Mostly I drink black or occasionally cappuccino, but I figured out I'm a coffee maniac, so I need to have something like this with the coffee. And you can get separately those pins. As you can see, it's a Java with the cup, exactly as this is, by just another button company. And it's in Troy, Illinois, and I always drive by them sometimes when I go through Troy, and never stop by. But these are the pins that you stick it in. You don't have to, but it kind of looks cute. And as a kit, it comes with fabric, or I got it. Anyway, it's a Brandywine linen suggested 28 count. And so it's given plenty in here, and some of the threads, like you can see here, Weeks Dye Works threads that needed, and Gentle Art, so all in here. And of course, for the very top where your pins are gonna go, there's a little bit of a woolen fabric piece that you sew on the top, like you can see over here. So that's what's gonna be at the very end. So pretty much you do as a big thing, different weird shape, and you're gonna fold over and sew up like a sides and things like that. I've done winter cube with just Nan like this. It was just weird, sort of like a cross shape pattern. So that's what I'm planning to do as my another new start. And here's another one that is a collection of smaller patterns, and it's called Dark Shadows by Sue Hillis Design, and she was gracious enough to sign it for me. And what I fell in love with on the display at Needlework Galleria is she had it on like a candelabra, all those pieces instead of candles, so that looked so amazing. I actually wanted to take a picture with that. But these are going to be 6 patterns, and they're very small, and I was trying to figure out what size I actually want to do it, because some of them it's going to have like a back stitching, so you cannot like do back stitching when you're doing over one, like on a 28 or 32 count. So at first I thought about using this fabric by LJ, but I figured out for Halloween it's not doesn't look that good, but it was 28 count linen. And then I decided to pick original suggestion. It's 20 count pure purple linen fabric. And so it looks like almost reminds me of a potato sack. It's just so soft. It's by Weeks Dye Works, and of course their fabric is always slightly feeling different. I don't know if it's the thread or it's the dye that used or something, but you can see it's very soft, very foldable fabric, and I might probably do that. So my plan for this year is to do at least one of these Halloween ornaments. I don't have much of a Halloween. Mostly I've been concentrating like on the Christmas, those Santas and Nicolases. So I haven't decided which one I want to do. Might just pick first one and start on that, but that's gonna be another possible start. And it needs only few colors of threads, and I had it already put in a bag with it, so all the possible threads are these. That's pretty much all you're gonna need. So as you can see, it's Halloweenish colors that like for example candles, flames, and the moon, and a little bit of the boots we'll have are those bright colors, but the rest of it is going to be mostly like a black and 317 and 413. Those are the dark colors that will need to be used. So that's another of my new start planned. Now the next sort of new start, I try to consider those little bits of pieces like those previous Halloween ornaments that you can do only one at a time and consider that as a finish. So same goes for these. It's Amish shop kit that came. You can see all of the stuff that was inside. It has a stuffing in there. It has different types of ribbons, and I think rosacea threads in here, and I included also like a cryonic in there sometimes to stitch instead of their gold color. But these are ornaments that originally was made by Dimensions kit. It's called Timeless Ornaments, and it's been long out of print, and the price, if you find it on eBay, usually it's way over $100. So I had to resort to try out on AliExpress, and so I've done 2 ornaments on this. It came with the fabric that it was like pre-cut in these sizes, so it's like a front and back, but I've decided I'm gonna do totally different backing, so I just need half of it. So if I want it, I can do 2 of each of the designs. So I'm gonna cut this in half, and as you can see, I can show you one of these. I tried to for like a placement of the ribbons and like a beads to look at the pictures that's on Pinterest and everywhere else that has the Dimensions kits to see how it is. The color like wise, it's a slightly some places different than original Dimensions, like would be stronger change between one another color. In one of the previous that I've done, I actually did let's see, which one did I do? I think, yeah, this red one that I actually changed myself going from one color to another. I did a mix of both of them to kind of gradually go down in the color instead of what they suggested. And you can see in here is also a little bit like a stronger changes. But of course, all the ribbons are headache to do, and you have like a twisted thread in here that you sew up. So I used invisible thread for that, and of course it includes back stitching and all of that. So the hardest thing was to attach this ribbon and make it lie so nice and straight. So I've used quite a bit of that invisible thread to make sure these these ribbons don't move out of the way and pop out when it's not needed. And I was trying to attach it also in the back, like here you see, so it wouldn't be that sticking out and would hold tightly. So when I've done probably I don't know if the half of it or all of them, then I'll cut out. I'll get a different type of backing and then do all of them as a finish. So there's going to be a little bit 3D poofy looking ornaments. So that's another going to be my sort of start for StitchMaynia. And the last but not least planned new start is gonna need your suggestions or voting. I can't decide which Mirabilia mermaids I'd like to work on because I have even more than that. So first one, I had it printed on a big picture. First one is Mediterranean mermaid. So some of the people put the picture like this or going like that. Either way is fine, depends on where you're gonna hang it on the wall. And another one is Mermaid of Atlantis, I believe it's called. Yes, Mermaid of Atlantis, MD 95. So I can't decide which one I should start on now because I usually have at least one mirror going on, and I finished my twin let's see, Mermaids of the Deep Blue last year, I believe, it was very beginning of this year, and I haven't stitched anything in Mirabilia, so it's been a while, quite a few months. And so which guys would you suggest for me to start? I also had all kinds of different fabrics, like for Atlantis, the suggested one was this one, L'Oreal linen. But then I looked, is it like, would it be way too dark? I understand some murkiness could be in the bottom, and light colors would stand out. I also have this beautiful fabric by Stephanie. It's called Shimmering Pool, and it's 32 Joblin. And sorry, I moved you. And it really changes like with the greenery and blue color. So that can go on a lot of different mermaids or any other goddesses and stuff like that. So that was another choice for either one. And I also had this one, and that's a sea spray that I tried to kind of compare to the pictures, and there's this one. So what my question would be for you guys is, first, which mermaid should I start? Atlantis or Mediterranean, and which fabric then would go. I don't think this dark one goes for this lady holding dropping all the treasures in here, so this goes more towards these two. And maybe you have another suggestion of the fabric that you saw somewhere that was perfect. I just don't want to do like a white color or cream color. That let's see, this was suggesting Star Sapphire linen, so it's very light color. So those were my planned new starts. I might change my mind. It also depends on what my homework would be on the Magical Stitches group. I might pull out something totally new to adapt to the homework, but at least this is what I've planned to stitch. So I'll be waiting for your suggestions for Mirabilia mermaids and the fabric choices for them. And also don't forget to click like, subscribe if you haven't done that also. And leave a comment about which one of all of those Maynia whips you like the most, and gonna wait to see how it looks later on. So until next time, fairly soon, this was Jurgita with Magic Pawn Craft saying bye bye.